meeting of the Board of Trustees for Lexington County School District 2. Before we begin with the agenda, Board member Mr. Bill Bingham is not able to be with us tonight due to a family emergency, and I ask that we keep Bill and his entire family in our prayers as we continue with this meeting. Ms. Cindy Kessler has graciously agreed to act as Vice Chairman tonight, and I will now turn the agenda over to her for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
We are honored tonight to have two of our students with us tonight from Airport High School, and we have Savannah Moore, who's going to do our invitation, and Cameron Jacoby, who's going to do our pledge. And let me tell you something about each of the students. Savannah is a senior at Airport, where she participates in cross-country, cheerleading, and track and field. She is the school orchestra. She has performed in several drama productions. Savannah is a member of the Tri-Music Honor Society and the National Honor Society. She has taken early college classes with Midlands Tech, congratulations, with a weighted GPA of 5.001. I don't think my GPA was ever that close. She is ranked 4th in her class, and Savannah plans to attend Anderson University and major in music education. Cameron Jacoby is going to do pledge. Cameron is a senior at Airport High School, where she is ranked 12th in her class with a GPA of 4.675. She has been a member of the marching band and was drum major this past year. She has been part of the Winter Guard, basketball, and nationally ranked junior ROTC drill team over a span of her 4 years. Cameron has been accepted to Furman University in music education, and her plan is to be a band director. Come on back to Lexington too, would you please? With Savannah.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today and just allowing us to meet in this room together, Lord. I pray that you bless this meeting, and please just let respect and wisdom and camaraderie just flow within this room and within everyone in this room. Lord, we thank you for today, and we love you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and good night. Remember our deal, come again.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and if no objection, the agenda will stand approved as written. Next item is public participation period.
We have no one tonight now.
Thank you, Mr. Hinton. Next item is reports on honors and accomplishments of student and staff. I'll turn that over to Dr. James.
Yes, ma'am. And Madam Chair, I'm going to turn that over to some of our folks. Ms. Janet Renahan did a really good job this year coordinating the United Way project for our district, and as a result of her work and the work of several different schools, we have Mr. Chris Burnett here from United Way to present some awards. So Chris and Janet, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, Dr. James, and members of the Board of Trustees. It is a pleasure to speak to you and the wonderful folks of Lexington 2 on behalf of the United Way and on behalf of the community. Without your contributions to the United Way, we would not be able to support education, financial stability, and health care in the community. And I would tell you that we're also working with flood relief. We have over 1,000 homes, Madam Chairwoman, that are on a waiting list right now that still need repair from the flood of over a year ago. We put millions of dollars into that repair work, and your dollars help that, in addition to serving your children and students through mentoring programs such as scouting, boys and girls clubs, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, tutoring programs in your district through the Midlands Reading Consortium, and other programs such as our dental program in Lexington County for those who are uninsured and underinsured. Without your contributions, we would be unable to serve those who are in great need in this community, and for that we are thankful. Tonight, we are here to recognize the top performers in the United Way campaign, and I'd like to ask Ms. Janet Renahan, who is our employee campaign director, to come up and help me pass out the awards. The awards are sponsored by Total Comfort Solutions, a wonderful company headquartered right here in West Columbia. They've sponsored the awards for a number of years. We appreciate the valuable sponsorship and partnership with Lexington 2 and Total Comfort Solutions. So let's begin with our first award, which goes to Claude A. Taylor Elementary School. And this will be awarded to Principal Mary Lance Garrison. 100% of your employees participated. And I'd like to introduce Steve Millett, who's the General Manager of Total Comfort Solutions. Without Mr. Millett's support, we've been able to provide these awards. And because of this, your contributions, 100% of your contributions go to the work that we do. The awards are actually sponsored by Total Comfort Solutions. So thank you, Steve Millett, and congratulations. Thank you. Next, we have our Trailblazer Awards. These are companies and schools that have had at least a 10% increase of $500 or more in raising money for the United Way. And the first one goes to Lexington County School District 2, Busby Creative Arts Academy. And I'm going to ask Mr. Millett and Jim to present. Principal Dr. Dixon Brooks. First met him when he was at Airport High School, and I thank you for your support of the United Way, Dr. Brooks. Thank you. Next, Employee Campaign Director Stephanie Jones. Thank you. Our next Trailblazer Award goes to Airport High School Principal Brad Coleman and Employee Campaign Director Tara Reed. And now for our top contributors, the schools that raise the most money. For elementary schools, we'd like to recognize Congaree Wood Early Childhood Center. Assistant Principal Mary Brooks is here. And Employee Campaign Director Anna Richmond. Next, we'll be recognizing the top middle school for their campaign, and that would be R.H. Fulmer Middle School. Principal Megan Carrero and Employee Campaign Director Allison Swigert. And our top high school, which has a long history of winning this award, Airport High School, for raising the most dollars of the high schools, and that would be Principal Brad Coleman and Tara Reed, and we are so appreciative for that. You received the Trailblazer Award as well, but also received the award for having the top high school campaign. Dr. James, if I could ask you to come forward for just a moment. Dr. James and I went to the same scout camp, and I believe we're both Eagle Scouts from the same council, aren't we, Dr. James? Am I correct in that?
We did go to the same camp.
Went to the same camp. That's wonderful. Well, we'll leave it at that.
A long time apart.
A long time apart. We'll leave it at that. Dr. James, we are so thankful for you running the campaign, and without your support, this would not happen, and we are very, very appreciative. I actually have 2 awards to present to you. One for the District Education Center. This campaign was chaired by Janet Riddihan. So this award goes to both of you for having the largest campaign. Your district staff raised quite a bit of money for the United Way, and we are so appreciative. So let me present to you the district award. I'll have Mr. Millett present that, I should say. Janet, we need to have you in this photo. This would not have happened without you. We have one more award, which is given to businesses and school districts, government employees in the community. And this is based on per capita giving. And this goes to the District Education Center as well. This is our bronze award, which goes to your district. And I would tell you that this district truly supports the United Way. They see the great work that we're doing and that you are doing as our volunteers and our 88 partner agencies do with your students, your children here in Lexington too. Once again, thank you so much. Please allow us to present this award.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business, which there is no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. And our first item on the agenda is a recommendation of approval of district strategic and technology plans, and I'll turn that over to Dr. Evans.
As you're aware, we brought before you our draft strategic plan in January. We asked for feedback in February, and if there are no comments, concerns, the administration recommends approval of our district strategic as well as technology plan.
Ms. Brown?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept administration's recommendation to approve the Lexington 2 5-year strategic and 3-year technology plans.
I have a recommendation. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Ms. Kessler. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is recommendation of resolution to appoint a new member to the Board of Education Facilities Corporation for Lexington 2, and I'll turn that over to Ms. Richardson.
Yes, thank you. The administration recommends replacing the current board member, Brantley Thomas, with William Mabry on the Education Facilities Corporation Board at this time.
I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman, motion to recommend replacing the board member Bradley with Bill Mabry.
A motion, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution to issue annual 8% debt. And I'll turn that over to Ms. Richardson.
Yes, thank you again. In your package, you have the resolution for the annual 8%, not to exceed this year of $12.5 million to make the annual installment purchase revenue bond interest and principal payments and for funding the CPI. We will bring the CPI budget at the next board meeting. We ask at this time to recommend the resolution to issue 8% debt.
I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the approval of the bond resolution.
A motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Key. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is recommendation to approve continuation of district-wide telephone replacement for additional locations. I'll turn that over to Mr. Eisenhower.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, We'd like to bring to you the price of $494,226, and that includes connecting fiber between Casey, the new Casey Elementary School, the Cake Center in Busby, as well as telephone upgrades at Congaree Elementary, Pine Ridge Middle, Congaree Wood Early Childhood Center, and Wood Elementary. We'd like to recommend approval of this contract to Telcom Incorporated, again for the amount of $494,226.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion we accept administration's recommendation to continue the district-wide telephone replacement for additional locations with Telcom.
The motion, do I have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries.
We'd also like
Go ahead.
We would also like to bring to you the results of the bid to do work at Brooklyn Casey High School baseball and softball fields. If you recall, this is something that we tried to do last summer, and we kind of got caught up into a situation where that we were running out of growing months, so we decided to bring it to you now so that we would be able to get a better start on this project. So we'd like to recommend that we award the contract to Wilson & Associates in the amount of $136,600, and this is pending the protest period.
All right. A recommendation, do I have a motion?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we accept, we award the contract to Wilson & Associates in the amount of $136,600 on the Brooklyn Casey baseball and softball field upgrades.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion?
Question.
Ms. Kessler?
Is there going to be an infield mix and a laser grading on both fields?
No, ma'am, the grading won't take place for the softball field since it appears to be in pretty good shape.
So this amount is for just working on the baseball field as far as the infield mix and laser grading?
As far as the grading, yes, but there will also be some stormwater work on the softball field in front of the first base bleachers, where we've had some issues with water standing in there.
Thank you, sir.
Question is, the contractor here doing this work, is that a bonded contractor and licensed to do this type of work?
Yes, sir.
They can get a bond?
Yes, sir. He has bonded and has provided that bond for us. And he does work for, University of South Carolina, a lot of semi-pro teams and so on and so forth. So he's very good at what he does.
He's performed this type of drain, the eco drains and all that he's just in this project to get installed?
As far as that, now
The eco drains that he's got here installed, the eco drains in the wall? Retaining
the
wall,
wall and all that, he'll have to sub that work out. But it's a relatively short wall to try to, again, improve upon the flooding issues that we have at that field.
Will that be from the right field to the left field, that makes that whole outfield in?
It will be from the, basically the third base line all the way down to the left field.
And he is using the 80-20 mix that was spec for this project?
Yes, sir. And he's going to be mowing it until the growing period is over. We accept that as an alternate, so it will be his baby until the growing season is over.
Mr. Giles?
I guess the concern that I have, and I don't have experience with any previous contractors, is there's such a huge discrepancy with his bid versus the other two. The other two seem to be very close together. His was so substantially less that sends up red flags to me saying, what are we giving up? We want to make sure this thing is done correctly. So have you looked at very closely the different bids to see, to make sure we're not missing anything? Corners are not going to be cut, we're not shortcutting anywhere?
Yes, sir. And our civil engineer, Kevin Eubanks, has also done the same thing. Again, if this contractor had not left out his bid bond last year, he would have been below bid last year, and he would have left a considerable amount of money in between his bid and the next highest bidder as well. It's just, this is what he does. The other guys were all basically grading contractors that were looking to do field work.
Mr. Wilson has stepped in and voluntarily done work at both fields for years, and I think probably the low bid was because he has helped us out before, is familiar with our facilities. I think he's been very trusted.
I have nothing against, don't know, I'm just saying, it's such a huge discrepancy, it just automatically sends a red flag. I'm not sure it's done correctly.
Any other discussion? All right, I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, we also bring to you for consideration the installation of fiber optic cable and data drops at the new airport high school field house. And that would also be awarded to Telcom in the amount of $21,197.
Ms. Rexon, can you say that amount again?
$21,197.
I'll make a motion to approve administration's recommendation for the approval of the contract for the installation of fiber optics and data drops to Telcom as presented.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second by Ms. Kessler. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries.
Madam Chair, at this time, we'd like to ask Lori Long from Jennifer Carter Cease, if she's in the room, to come up and do a presentation on a new press box and batting cages for baseball and softball field at Brooklyn Casey High School.
We'll give her a second to work away.
As long as you're up. Let me say this before we totally throw Lori to the wolves. This is actually Todd Cease's project. Todd couldn't be here tonight because of some scheduling conflicts. So, and Joel's out of town as well. So I think Lori got briefed on this project this afternoon. Since it's schematics, I think that between the two of us, we could probably talk you through this pretty well. So, Lori, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenhower, and Sheriff, and board members, and Dr. James. I appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you, and Todd and Joel did offer their apologies for not being here, because they were tied up. So I would just like to give you a brief update and remind you of the site. The beige color building, of course, are your buildings, your existing current buildings. The burgundy building, of course, is the proposed gym arena on the site of the existing Motel 6. You probably already know that the demolition is almost complete. They've done a little cleanup, they've got to fill in the pool, that kind of thing, but they're in pretty good shape on the demolition of that project. And so this site plan we'll talk to you today and just give you an update on the proposed phase 1 plan for the summer. The other darker burgundy areas are the proposed major renovations in the existing building or later phases. Just be aware, and I'm sure you are, that the City of Casey has already approved this schematic layout, so we shouldn't hit any hurdles when we start phase 1 and any of the later phases of the construction. So I'm here really to give you an update on phase 1, which could start this summer. And that phase 1, if you approve and give us your approval, will include the baseball press box here, the enclosed baseball and softball batting cages that will be shared by the two, and the shared concession and restroom area between baseball and softball and pitching mounds as well. And that project could start this summer. We're prepared to do do that. Thompson Turner, the general contractor, has estimated that work to be about $1.2 million. And so, like I said, we are working on those drawings now, and we're ready to move forward this summer. Next month, Todd asked me to tell you that he will be prepared to bring to you the concept and the progress on the renovations of the auditorium. It will also be for the fall, if I'm not mistaken, next schedule.
Actually, it'll probably start this next summer, May or June.
So I'll be glad to answer any questions that I can answer about the summer program, the baseball, softball.
I want to see a schematic of
Did you not have another slide?
I do. One thing I just wanted to ask, just since you had any questions about the site plan itself. The materials will be skinned with a brick similar to the BC high school, and the roofs will be standing seam. This is the 3D image standing on the pitcher's mound at the baseball stadium, and you see we've platted Thank you very much. That's one of my favorite sports, but I never played it. I like to watch. So, and then you'll see the batting cages and the concession and toilet room behind there. So I think it ties together well. It presents itself well on the side.
I want to know what's included in those facilities. Do you not have that?
In the building itself,
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
have the footprint for that. Concessions and toilets is what I've been told.
How many toilets?
Now, I can tell you that it'll be enough for whatever bleacher situation we have, and there has been a change in the toilet requirements by code. It was adopted by the state house, and so we won't have to do what you've been hearing the horror stories that have been coming down the pipe in the last 2 years. That is, we're going to get some relief on that, but I can't tell you now. But I'm sure Tom will be glad to know.
If we don't have more information than that, if we don't see it, I think we need to table it until we get to see what it includes. As far as my part's concerned, there's an equity situation here that has to be resolved before I can vote on a $1.2 million improvement. Is it needed? Probably so, but it's needed at other places too, and until we have some idea of what's included in that, I make a motion that we table this until we have more information.
If I may, can I ask specifically what you would like to see in there?
I want to know what's in the buildings.
Dressing room for visiting teams, is there going to be space for that? Is this going to be 3 stalls? How many stalls per side?
I know the girls only have 1 stall per male and female in their facility. I heard you say it's going to be shared, so is softball going to be using the facilities in that building as well? And then you've already got one down at the softball. You've got facilities here, and I know when we have to share, I know who gets the shorty of that stick. It's like the weight rooms. Who gets a shorty of the sticks? We have to wait until after a program that's not even in season to finish up before we can use it. So I want specifics before I vote on a $1.2 million, and I want to know that it's going to be fair. Then I want to see if this district is going to do the same thing for the other side of the school district.
On your building shed there for your batting cages and your pitching mound, is it going to be mounts for both baseball and softball?
That's my understanding.
And there'll be cages be shared by both?
I think what Todd is planning is, I think it says 8 lanes, if I'm not mistaken.
We told us 4 would be 4. So actually, said it would be 4, but I think 4 would be shared.
They can use the same pitching mound.
And I could be wrong, but yes.
Ms. Eisenhower, how much would it delay the project at all to wait until Todd can be present to go over it? I mean, I know we're already pushing it out into, I believe, the fall
Yeah,
anyway.
if we can't get approval on the schematics tonight, we can't start it this summer. I don't think there's any way.
All right.
And I think what Todd, if you'll allow me, I think what Todd wanted to know is that the concept and the imagery was acceptable to you,
both stadiums or in one stadium?
Usually in one stadium at a time, you know, and I see softball like that, I can't do it. But in the last few years, we've been fighting OSF to allow us to reduce the number of toilets. So now that the toilet has been reduced by code for the state of South Carolina, you're still going to have ample toilets, I think, for the facility. Because the codes have, you know, increased the count in the code itself.
Madam Chairman, could I make a motion that we approve schematics tentatively with the provision that the district will provide us additional information, and I believe we meet again in 2 or 3 weeks anyway, don't we, Don? So that shouldn't really delay it if it's 2 weeks.
Okay.
We can certainly have to look at it by then and tell you exactly what the counts are.
But at least that wouldn't put us all a year or 2. And I don't think she had a second in her.
Right, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, table it, because I would like to see airport at least get some equality here. Right now, airport has a wooden press box that me and two dads framed in 2010 that they're using. We have no ADA access to the field. Last week, I witnessed a dad have to carry his daughter, to the field and down the steps so she can watch her brother play. Week after that, a former district member came to the game in a wheelchair and could not go to the bathroom because we don't have an ADA bathroom there. We have some serious issues there, so I really have a problem seeing us spend this kind of money and objecting against another school when we have to tell a dad, we can get you into the football stadium's bathroom or go somewhere else. We had some serious issues there. The only handicap parking we have there is almost a quarter-mile walk for them. They have to park up that street to get into the baseball stadium. That is unacceptable to see a dad have to carry his daughter through there, and we tell cars, drive through here where all the kids are playing and park right on the hill to watch a game. So I really have a problem with me sitting here with a good conscience approving something like this when those schools not getting anything out of it.
Well, Mr. Key, if I may, I will tell you that we've been working on our CPIF budget for next year, which we will bring to you hopefully next month, which is the plan. Mr. King and I have been working on that a good bit. It is our intention, if we do this work at DC High School, I understand and the press box issue. Now, all of the things that you've mentioned, I can't promise you that we can address all of those in 1 year with CPIF funds. The budget money, as far as bond money for Airport High School, is pretty well been committed. Now, we will present to the board, or it is our intention to present to the board to build a new press box at Airport High School baseball field. That would be comparable to what we're going to do here, which is, I think, would be similar to what we've done at the softball field. So there will be some more challenging issues there because of the location being up on top of the bank. But it is our intention to bring that to the board next month. I don't know that we'll be able to get started on it right away this summer because, again, it takes a while to get these things designed and approved through the Office of School Facilities. But we do have intentions of trying to chip away at for equality.
I'm not questioning we're not working on it now, but we were told the same thing in 2010, that we were trying to get a handicap parking down there. So it's been an ongoing issue for the last 7 years that hadn't been addressed. And it don't look good on us as a district when we tell you can drive in here and park, but you can't get to our good facilities because we don't have it. That's just me personally. That's my opinion.
I hear what you're saying. Obviously, I wasn't here in 2010. I think I've held pretty true to my promises, and I will.
And I said, I know we're working on it now, but there's still that issue that we've been promised for so many years, and still nothing's being done there.
Ms. Brown?
Madam Chairman, I don't object that we do need to be looking at airport. However, we don't make a practice or policy of this board that we make sure that everything is done in one and both. When we're approving projects, we're voting on the presentation right now is on the BC facility. I point out to this board that all the airport projects were at the beginning of this bond referendum project, and nobody on this board held up anything to say, wait a minute, until BC gets this, and so we waited until now BC projects are being presented. So I think it is very unfair at this point to stop BC projects to say, wait a minute, we need to go back and do more here and do more there. I think that Mr. Eisenhower has a plan that he's presented. I don't think anybody in this boardroom is opposed to trying to do whatever we can to continue to make all of our facilities equal. But at this point, what's before us is the beginnings of the project at BC, of which we've not started anything. Of this bond referendum money, we have not spent a penny. And I just adamantly oppose us taking any action that would delay this project going forward.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Ms. Kessler?
Mrs. Branham has heard for many, many years the discrepancies in equity in this district. And while I agree with partly of what you said, we have been fighting the equity issue for years. And what we're trying to do and establish now is that we're not going to leave any part of our district out and not have adequate facilities for them. It doesn't have a thing to do about holding up anything. It has something and everything to do with speaking out to make sure that there's equity. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a commitment that we're not doing for one side of the district and we're not going to do for the other side. And I like both sides.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kessler. And I'll, Brad, I'm sorry.
I just make the statement, and Mr. Key, I addressed it last time as well, that my assumption was that the airport was part of the bond referendum, and I didn't realize it was not part of the bond referendum. It should be, you know. Airport needs that thing just like BC does. However, Don's addressed that. The district's already recognized that and has a plan in place for that. I understand the history. There's history with the BC project. This was supposed to be done several years ago as well. So the point is now, we need to vote on what's presented before us, which is the BC plan, move forward. Don's got a plan in place. I would fully support anything to do to make things equitable across the district. This shouldn't be a BC airport thing. They've got this, so we've got to get this. You know, we'd love to wave a magic wand and everybody has the exact same thing at both high schools. It's not going to happen. We move forward, we do what we can at each school. As that school needs something, we address that need. The airport should have been part of the bond, and I absolutely agree with that. It obviously was overlooked. That was not my fault, not your fault. It was overlooked. It should have been part of the project. It wasn't. Don's addressing it. So, as far as Mr. Brown says, I think this is what's presented for us. We don't need to delay this project anymore. It got unfortunately delayed last year because of some technicalities. So we need to vote here to move forward so we can keep going. And we'll address airport as soon as we can for you, Mr. Eisenhower. And I trust his judgment on that.
Mr. Eisenhower, how much do you think would be appropriate for to come out of CPI funds for next year so that we can bring the airport facility up to par? And definitely get ADA accessibility. That's law. We're breaking the law.
Well, without knowing kind of what we're talking about as far as ADA parking and that sort of thing, I'd have to deal with Mr. Key, the principal, and we'd have to talk about where we're talking about trying to create this parking, where we need to create the ADA access. I have no clue about where that is, so I can't give you any kind of estimate on what that would cost. As field house, I'm guessing, and again, this is strictly a guess at this point, but what we've put in there is $350,000. I'm not for a field house, for a press box.
Please, when you make this press box, I hope somebody watches the construction, because the one that was built at airport, foundation must have been very thin because we're down to the earth in the corners of the press box. So I certainly hope we don't have that issue with the other facilities. can the ADA bylaw be addressed so that we can at least provide that
We still have
in
some,
your future? And can you look into that and
Yes,
get
ma'am.
back with us by next month?
well, as you know, we've addressed ADA issues at the softball field already.
Yes.
And we will do everything we can. We're also addressing ADA issues at some of our elementary schools, the playgrounds. And we will continue to do that as funds are available. And at this point in time, we've still got some wiggle room in our CPAIF funds. We're just trying to make sure that we're addressing the most primary needs as we go through this. So we'll be able to do some things this summer, and we'll be able to do some things the next summer. So, but what I'm seeing is that the major needs, we're really getting to the end of those with our bond money and with CPIF funds. So I think we will be able to do more things to try to address equity.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenhower. And I think what we'll need to go back to is remember that this is for a consideration for the schematics on the new Brooklyn Casey High School press box and baseball, softball covered batting cages. So I have a motion and a second on the floor.
Read your motion, because you had two motions.
Yours was, we have to do yours first.
I withdraw mine.
Okay.
And then I'll make a motion to approve the schematics with the additional qualification that you bring us, because I'm very concerned
We'll
about.
bring you more layout as we go through this. You'll have more opportunities for input. I realize this isn't much, but this is the best we can do with the time that we have.
And from the equity standpoint within these two fields, we do want to show us what's done there for the softball as well. Because that was my understanding, is that both these buildings were to service both sides of that.
That's correct.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No. Good.
Do that again. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion
Does not carry.
motion does not carry. Okay. Thank you. We'll now move to consideration of roofing bids for Congaree Elementary School.
Madam Chair, we have, as you know, new construction taking place at Congaree Elementary School. What we've done is we've had our roofing consultant to create specifications to re-roof the rest of that school. And what we have is we've received bids, so we'd like to recommend at this time that we approve re-roofing the rest of Congaree Elementary School and give that, award that bid to Southern Roofing in the amount of $849,000.
Okay, thank you. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept administration's recommendation for the roofing bid at Congress, to award the roofing bid at Congress Elementary School.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Key. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Eisenhower, next item.
Madam Chair, we'd like to also bring to you for consideration the price to install cameras at Airport High School's new field house. And we'd like to request that you award that contract to A3 Communications in the amount of $19,638.44.
I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Motion to award the contract to 3A. A3.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Second. Ms. Kessler, any discussion? All in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration of request for overnight or out-of-state student travel.
Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the request for overnight or out-of-state student travel.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Kitty. Any discussion?
Yes, has there been any policy change on our overnight travel for our kids, such as administrative bed checks?
There wouldn't be a policy. There would not be a policy change if the board didn't change it, so the answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Is this going to be a policy for the school? Will there be a policy for the school, one school or another? If one does it, do we all do it? Is it going to be that administrators have to go on overnight trips to do bud checks?
Whatever our policy is, all schools, elementary, middle, and high, would be held to the same policy.
Is there a precedent been set?
Obviously, there's something I don't know.
Is there a practice that the board would like for us to make
This
sure?
past weekend, there was a tournament at which administrators went with a group and had bed checks and was brought to our attention. And I was just wondering if this was going to be had set a precedent for the district, or if this was just a, one-time situation. If it's changed, we need to know about it.
I don't know that it's changed. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I can remember back in the dark ages coaching and having to do that when we traveled. But
Coaches or administrators, so I was never fortunate to have an administrator come to me on an overnight trip.
Dr. James, if you do that, would you please make me administrator? I'd like to go to California and do a bed check on that one. I promise you. You pay
You
my
ready? I don't know. If there's something different, I'll be more glad to look at it. I'm kind of in the dark here. But there would not be a policy change without the board voting to change our policy.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is administrative divisional reports. First is superintendent, who has no report. Next is instruction.
Yes, Madam Chair, Mr. Dr. James, members of the board, tonight we're going to bring to you just a brief overview of the revised uniform grading policy. We have provided to you in your packets the entire document as it is, as we also understand that these are proposed changes, and so this information is a moving target at this point in time. As I shared with you all last month, we have been trying to read through all of this to make sense of it all. We were not aware that we were going to undergo changes to our uniform grading policy. So this has created a little bit more questions than we have answers for, just to be quite honest with you, at the state level. So much to the point that the Midlands Chief Academic Officers will be meeting in 2 weeks to see if we can all put our heads together to have interpretation to bring back to local boards. But we did want to address some of the information that we have at this point in time. So new in the policy, or the uniform grading proposed changes, you all must now approve our content credit recovery model. We will bring recommendations to you either in June or in August. We will need your guidance as well as your approval. And at this point in time, as you're aware, we're using GradPoint. But before we can move forward, you all will have to give us your blessings on what we use and how we use it. Also, these are possible decisions for you all to consider. And in the document, it says future recommendations that may be board approved. Auditing a course, and for those of us, we know what that means, sitting in on a course without getting a grade for it. We'll have to decide if we want to go in that route. Proficiency-based credit for excessive absences. In other words, if you get an FA without the seat time, do we want to award credit? That's the decision that you will need to give us guidance on. And also, retaking a course regardless of a grade earned. Currently, our practice is kids are allowed to retake a course if they earn a D or an F. Well, now they're saying if you earn any grade, and we know it's probably because folks want to get their GPAs up, you all will need to give us guidance on how we proceed with that as well. Other changes in the proposal you have there, only credits in the following subjects can be earned at the middle level for high school credit. And we're pretty much in compliance with this at this point in time. We have one art course at one of our middle schools. that we'd already started. We got permission to finish this year out, but we know that we will not be able to offer that course for credit in subsequent years or future years. All courses assigned honors weightings, including any local board approved, must meet the criteria for the South Carolina Honors Rubric, which is new to us. And it's also dual credit courses may count for high school credit and college credit if locally approved. And we're already following that practice because we have our early college and dual credit models. Again, in talking with some of our colleagues, this has really created a lot more questions than we have answers for. So we will meet on March 31st to kind of put our heads together. We have such transient populations between the Midlands districts that we want it to be kind of an alignment in how we go forward. But before we decide anything from the administrative level, we will need your support, guidance, and recommendations.
March 21st?
31st.
March 31st?
Yes, ma'am. And if you have some questions that you want me to take to that group. Thank you.
That I will hold on.
Okay. And I'll be glad to sit and talk with you so I can take those questions to the table. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Next item on the agenda is finance. Turn that over to Ms. Richardson.
Yes, thank you again. I have before you in your packet the February monthly financials. Be happy to answer any questions on revenue that you may have right now. Again, we're collecting nice. Oh. Okay, expenditures, I'll be happy to answer any questions. And also on the referendum expenditures, and it's on the final page. I'll be happy to answer anything you may have.
One question, Kelly, what plans are we making budgeting wise moving forward with the state retirement issues? And
That's my next topic. No questions on financials? Okay. Next item I have is the budget update, just to let you know, House Ways and Means, to give you an overview of where you are with revenue. This included their budget. House actually met on their budget this week and is sticking with a $2,400 base unit cost, which is only a $50 base unit cost increase over the current year, which is only a little over $213,000 for us, so not a lot on that. Correct. Right now, we're estimating that the 2% retirement increase is about a $945,000 increase for our district. You may have heard that there's a portion that the state is kicking in on that. The estimates we have from the state so far, that amount is only $245,000. So I know it's been reported that it's half, it's not half. I'm not sure exactly what they're basing that on right now. I think it's a 1% of the teachers' portion of the increase on retirement. So that net effect on that increase is $700,000 for us after you take that 945 less the 245. So that's kind of what we're looking at with that, as well as the step increase. We'll bring you more information as we get further into the budget at the next meeting. We're also looking at a 3.4% increase on employer health insurance. So those things, we're still getting estimates on where we are. Luckily, our local revenue is looking good this year. So I usually do a history of a trend, which I'll have for you in the next meeting, of how those collections are coming in over the past several years and what those percent increases we can look to hopefully, continue that trend as well.
So basically, even with the $50 increase based student cost, we're still going to be $500,000 approximately short.
Right. Exactly.
Over what the state's requiring us to contribute.
Right.
Mr. Giles, in actuality, it may end up being more than that. We've worked on the budget and we've gone through each school and our personnel, we've got all our personnel plugged in, but we're to the point where we will have to scrutinize all of the different pieces of what are we getting our dollars for. Because like Kelly said, we've got some significant increases with about $250,000 worth of increase in funding. So we weren't quite ready. We'll have you a balanced budget. We wouldn't dare not bring you a balanced
Oh, I'm not
budget.
worried about y'all bringing,
But
but it's just frustrating to state.
It'll be frustrating to get to that point, but we'll bring you a balanced budget. We know better than to bring a red budget.
Yeah, I would not do that.
My understanding is Spearman actually had requested $150 per student in their houses.
She had requested a $2,500 base student cost, and we got $2,400. So, you know, Senate is a little more generous generally, historically, than the House. So I haven't heard that they're looking to increase. I think the Senate starts their budget deliberations April the 4th. So, but I haven't heard that they're looking to increase it. But there's always that little.
Typically, the Senate budget is better than
Yeah.
the House budget. So, but it would take that other $100 to get us in a really sweet spot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. All right. The next item on the agenda is administration and student services. Turn that over to Mr. Eisenhower for building update.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, we provided in your packet information about the construction work that was taking place. We tried to cut back on some of that, but we have to answer any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is human resources. We have there with Dr. Cooper. All right. Next item on the agenda is executive session. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that the Board of Trustees enter closed session for the discussion of consideration of intergovernmental agreements, consideration of personnel appointments, reappointments, and resignations, discussion of personnel matters, and discussion of property matters.
The motion to have a second. Second by Ms. Kessler. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We are now in executive session.